Welcome back to 15th Street Automotive. We're looking at a 2004 GMC Yukon. Customer concern is that the instrument cluster doesn't do anything. Stick the key in, turn it on. We get a check engine light, but nothing else. Start up, we don't have tach, we don't have any of our gauges. So let's get in this one and figure it out. Alright, if we're looking at this schematic here, this is our instrument cluster here, this block. And we've got power coming from two fuses, depending on the option codes of this vehicle. And I'm not sure if we're talking about we have an SEO vehicle or a non-SEO vehicle. I'd have to check RPO codes on that. But we can check and see if we have an ignition E or an SEO ignition fuse in the under hood fuse block. So let's go do that right now. Alright, with the cover off, we're looking for a SEO or an ignition E fuse. So, ignition E or an SEO. Okay, we have an SEO ignition right there. So we're looking at the SEO option, and we want to see if that fuse is powered, or we want to see, let's see, where SEO. So there's an SEO bank 1 and an SEO ignition fuse. So there is our SEO ignition fuse, and we want SEO bank 1. There's SEO bank 2. SEO bank 1 is right there. So let's make sure we have power at SEO bank 1 and SEO ignition. Okay, we got no power at SEO ignition. We have good power at SEO bank 1, but nothing, we have no power at SEO ignition. SEO ignition should be hot in run or start. And we're in run right now. Okay, it's on with it running. So we have good power for the ignition. So we have good power at the fuses that power the instrument cluster, but we have no lights, no prindle, no gauges. We have a check engine light, so we're getting something to there. We're getting something to the instrument cluster, but it's not making its way to the different components of the instrument cluster. Now, these instrument clusters have a real problem with solder joints, cracked solder joints, and they can be intermittent. So what I'm going to do is I have it running. I pulled it into drive so I can get access to this bezel cover. I'm going to pull this off, and if in the process of me monkeying with this thing, the lights come back on and the gauges start working, we probably have a cold solder joint or a cracked solder joint. So let's pull this bezel off. We'll pull the cluster out and see if we don't start to get some power on there. You can see we have turn signals on there. Usually tapping on this thing will close up a cold solder joint, but not this case. So there's 4 7mm screws in each corner. And once those screws are out, this thing just kind of pulls out, and it's got a connector on the back. Which can also have a weird connection. Oh, there it goes. So it started working again. There it goes. So as you can see, as soon as I started playing with that connector, the dash comes back. We got our Prindle. We have our service monitor light, brake light, all the gauges are working. So our problem is either with the circuit board or the plug-in itself. I suspect it's a circuit board because those are super common, but let's pull this thing out and take a closer look. Right, so I have the back of the instrument cluster off, and looking at all the exposed solder joints, I don't see anything that's out of whack, but there are some things that I want to bring your attention to. See if we can find them here. If you look here, right there, there's like a gray corrosion. There's one there. There's one right here. What that is the solder has basically corroded. And if you look really close, especially at this one here, that corrosion is bridging 2 different circuits. Now this probably won't be the cause of our problem here because it's a no power problem. But that will, I fixed one here a few weeks ago, that same problem. That was a draw on the instrument cluster. Cleaning off that corrosion made that draw go away. So that's something to keep in mind when you have a draw that looks like it's coming up to the instrument cluster, is take a look for that corrosion. We're going to clean all that off just to prevent a problem, but keep looking for possibly a broken solder joint. Okay, so I had this back cover off. It just snaps off. I mean, it's got 1, 2, 3 tab, 1, 2, 4 tabs here, so it just pops off, no problem. And we can check all of our different solder joints here. I went through there, and except for the corrosion, it looks okay. I cleaned off the little bits of corrosion I found. These are the main pins right here that are suspect, but I didn't see anything funky with that. They all look real good. So the next step is to rotate it around, pull this front cover off so we can pull those needles off. Alright, so I'm going through this thing, checking all the different little connections here, see if there's anything loose. I couldn't see anything, but this one here was off at an angle. And as you can see, I can move that thing. So that needs to be resoldered. I believe that is a resistor. I don't see anything else that's loose except for that one. But that's definitely going to give us a problem. So we're going to flux that up a little bit, drop a little solder on there, and reflow that solder. So the solder joint is that one right there. So best thing to do now is stick this thing back in and see if we don't have a working cluster. Let's go see if it works. Oh, made a noise, must be doing something. Alright, so all the gauges work. the Prindle works and the DIC works, brake lights. All right, I think that one's going to be a fix. So that little resistor that was broke loose was likely one of the main power sources for the rest of the gauge. So having that thing loose on the board gave us an intermittent problem. That's why it didn't start working again until I flipped it upside down and started jostling the instrument cluster around when I was taking it out. So resoldering that should have us a fix on this thing. I checked all the other little resistors on there. I didn't see anything. So I'm going to put this thing back together and we're going to call this one a fix. Thanks for watching.